Hello, I'm Pamela Halloran from the Arapahoe Library District, and I work with all of our book clubs. We have many book clubs at the Arapahoe Libraries. I facilitate 4 of the book clubs that we offer, so I'm always looking for good books for book clubs, so you can tell I'm really into book clubs. We also produce book club kits that we loan to patrons and we use at our own book clubs. There are 10 paperback copies in here with a discussion guide to assist the facilitators. Very easy for the leaders of book clubs to use these. I thought I'd talk about 3 new books that we have added to our kits and that I have found make for really good discussions with book clubs. The first one is The Visionist by Rachel Urquhart. This book takes place in the 1840s in Massachusetts, and it's the story of Polly Kimball, who grew up on a farm in Massachusetts, kind of a poor farm. When Polly turned 15 years old, she is sick of the abuse of her father and burns down the family farm in Massachusetts. So she and her mother and little brother had to escape, and they go to a Shaker community. Part of what makes this book so interesting is the background in the Shaker community. Shakers were a religious sect in Massachusetts, New England, upstate New York in the 1800s. The book is told from the point of view of Polly and her time at the Shaker community, and about alternating chapters with a gentleman, Simon Pryor. Simon Pryor is an investigator who's trying to figure out what happened to this burned down farm. Rachel Urquhart does an excellent job with the different voices of the people. There's a lot to talk about in this book. Lots of discussion among the book clubs that I've facilitated it for. Recommended for book clubs. My next book is The Girl Who Rode in Silk by Kelly Estes. This takes place in the northwestern United States, in the Seattle area. And this has 2 stories. One takes place in the 1880s. One is a contemporary story. So the contemporary story, Inara, has inherited her aunt's estate, and she wants to turn it into a boutique hotel, a bed and breakfast. And while remodeling, she discovers a beautiful piece of silk, beautifully embroidered. Turns out to be the sleeve of a kimono, and that the embroidery is actually telling a story. Mei Lin, who lived in the 1880s in the Seattle area, is in fact, the woman who embroidered the kimono, and she's telling the story of what happened to her family when the Chinese Exclusion Act was passed in 1882. That required that no more Chinese could emigrate to the United States, and some Chinese families in the Seattle area were actually deported. So the 2 stories kind of get told hand in hand. There's a love story for both Mei Lin and Inara. It's interesting. Both stories are really interesting. Lots to talk about, and a new part of history to learn about. My third book here is a nonfiction book. It's a biography or memoir of Helen MacDonald. Helen was very close to her father, who died very unexpectedly. As I remember, he just kind of dropped dead on the streets of London, and she was quite devastated. So in working through her grief, she decided to raise a goshawk. Goshawks are very large, fierce hawks, hard to domesticate and train. So she picks out a goshawk, brings her home, and starts to train her. She talks a bit about T.H. White, the author, who some of you may know from books like The Once and Future King and other books about King Arthur and Merlin. He was also a falconer. He didn't have such good luck raising his goshawk, however. So it covers a wide range of topics. If anybody's lost people close to them, it's an interesting look at how one woman goes through the grieving process. And it's if you're interested in animals and wild birds, it's fascinating. So take a look for this book also for your book club. Thank you.